Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich with your Witchy Book Club series. We are going through the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft by Christopher Penzak. If you would like to get a copy of your own, I do suggest to go to your local witchy shop or local bookstores. But if you do not have the capability to do that, there is a link down below that is an Amazon link. I don't think I have an affiliate link with them anymore, but the link is there for you. Um, but I do suggest that you get it from an independent seller. It just helps the economy overall. Anyway, um, before I go on too too long here, I want to thank our patrons on Patreon. We have Linda and Sophia. Thank you for being patrons on Patreon. If you would like to be a patron on Patreon, the link is down below if you would like to get something tangible for your money. There is the eBay link down below. If you would like to support this channel in other ways, there is a subscribe link. It's right here. The bell notification, the likes, dislikes, all that good stuff. All appeases the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. And if it is safe for you to do so, you can consider sharing this on your social media platforms. One thing I do want to say with the patrons on Patreon, this will be coming up a little bit late on Patreon. I've tried to do videos a little further in advance than the day before. This is Friday the 5th whenever I am recording this. And there is a reason why, and it has something to do with the big announcement that's coming in the middle of August, and the patrons on Patreon have access to that. I did a post yesterday about it, explaining why. So, if I sound congested a little bit, I think it is a pressure change between outside and inside. I've been going out and in the house a lot today. And I try to keep the house a little on the cooler side for the dogs because I ain't paying to have them, injected with fluids because they're dehydrated and overheated. So, yeah, not going to happen. But it is quite toasty outside. And I think it has something to do with the pressure changes. I am adamant I do not have allergies, and I know I'm not sick, because this has been happening a lot lately. But yeah, I'm gonna stick by my I don't have allergies. Please don't let me have allergies type of situation here. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I wanted to pause because I am drinking an alcoholic beverage. I only have one in the house right now, so that's all that I'm going to be drinking. Um, is just this one. But yeah, I leave for Dover later today, and I've been working out in the yard. So yeah, whenever you've been working out in the yard and it's nice and hot and everything, it's nice to have a beer. And I'm not gonna plaster a beer logo on the channel. So yeah, if you see me pause and jump around, I might be just having a drink. Um, Wetting the whistle as it is. Anyway, let's get into chapter 2, Opening the Veil. In our grandest of traditions, we read the first sentence and see how it shapes up for the chapter overall. He states, "Witches are truly walkers between the worlds." I agree. Witches, we kind of have our feet in both worlds. We have our foot in the spiritual realm and working with spirits, especially if that's something that you do a lot. There are different types of witches, of course. You have witches that deal more in herbology. You have witches that deal more in divination. You have ones that deal more in spirit communication. That was my first love. That and divination were my first loves of witchcraft. But even whenever you're just talking spell working and whatnot, you're talking about having a foot in the energetic realm, if you will, and the physical realm. So yeah, we really do walk between two worlds, and I think that is a fitting way of describing that. And with this one in particular, this is more of a spirit-centric type of setup for the book so far, and I would assume going forward it's going to be a lot like that. So, yeah, a good opening for the second chapter of this book. I'm going to move quite quickly here. This is all on page 19. The next thing I have underlined is we must live up to our responsibilities with the otherworldly allies by fulfilling our spiritual agreements with them. This is something I've lacked in the past, and I wish to get back to fostering that connection with spirit. So something that I do want to do in the future and want to try a little bit more. Sorry, I had to take my watch off. I'm getting a little bit of a rash right there from working out in the yard and things getting caught under it and whatnot. So, but at least I get my steps in, and that's what really matters, right? Anyway, uh, whenever we talk about working with spirits and whatnot, it is important to keep that engagement going with them. Even if it is lighting a candle or, saying a little prayer of sorts, a chant, a mantra, if you will. That is a way of connecting with them, even if it's something small. So that's something that I think we need to, uh, me especially. I know I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I know that I need to try to keep that going a little bit more than what I have in the past. The next thing I have underlined is on page 21. It's under intoxication, the use of various substances, including in the form of herbs, incense, oils, or wine, can help open up the path to power. Um, I don't do intoxication when doing spell work. Other than having this one alcoholic beverage, I rarely ever do a video when intoxicated. I don't like the feeling of being intoxicated. I don't like feeling like I'm under the influence of something that is foreign to my day-to-day life or foreign to how I would go to work or anything like that. It's just important to me that I don't uh, have anything that's mind altering or would kind of put a veil over that experience. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I know that there have been times whenever I've gotten drunk and barely remembered something, that happened the night before. And I don't want to possibly forget something that happens whenever I'm in a ritual context. So that is important to me, to not be under the influence of any drugs, whether it be herbs or alcohol or anything like that. Incense is a little different. Yes, I use incense um, and whatnot. However, nothing that would be considered mind altering or psychedelic in any way, shape, or form, which I want to stress with intoxication. That is not something that I want to. I don't want that to be part of my experience overall. Um, to me, I will eventually get to that veil, or I will eventually reach that veil, whether or not I have mind altering substances of any sort. So, if you work hard enough, you'll get there. And it'll become easier and easier to get to that point. So, I wouldn't want to have to rely on uh, drugs or alcohol in any sort in order to get there. Let me adjust the sound just a little bit. I see that I'm peaking a little. Okay, so next thing I have, this is all on page 21. I'm sorry for not saying the page numbers. It's been a little while since I've done these. The next one I have is also on page 21 under sound. The use of music can aid in ritual and meditation. I have said it before, and I'll say it again. Is the shamanic vision journey. Oh, geez, what is it? I think it's the. Oh, son of a gun! I'm gonna have to look this up real quick Give me one split second here. It's Shaman Vision Journey by David and Stephen and David Gordon, I think it is. Let me look at that again here. By David and Steve Gordon. Shamanic Vision Journey is the CD. And I do suggest this one. I've used it plenty of times. It is a fantastic CD that takes you through the veil, and it lasts about an hour, and then you can come back towards the end. It is fantastic. I highly recommend that. They also have a drumming one. I'm not so wild about drumming as much, but the Shaman Vision Journey had just the right instrumentation that it got me into the zone. That one definitely I do recommend. I've used it even to just go to sleep, and as I would meditate, in bed and whatnot to go to sleep, I would envision being in my astral altar space and whatnot. He goes on to say later on in that paragraph, even the overtones of a singing bowl can stimulate you into new consciousness. Chanting and singing yourself creates sound and regulates the breath. And I have done this with the Om Mani Padme Om, that one. I have used my mala beads to do that chant, and I went around the entire mala, and it is fantastic. It is so relaxing. It puts you in that meditative state, and I highly recommend that as well. Mala beads are fantastic. The next thing that I have is on page 22. Hand postures are called mudras in the Eastern tradition. This is on movement. I would like to get more into utilizing mudras, and they call it hand yoga. And I think I showed it on the channel before. I have a deck that is all hand mudras and everything, and I also have a book on hand mudras. That is, I think, called Yoga for the Hands or something like that, or Hand Yoga. Um, but yes, it is a fantastic thing to do, a great way to meditate, and I would highly suggest looking into that. You can also look up a lot of these online if you don't want to go out and buy the book. There's like hundreds of these different hand mudras and ways to do that. So you can incorporate this into your practice. And you can also use it as a meditative way of opening that veil, or getting you to that point of opening the veil. The next one I have is also on page 22, and it's just the section on pain. I am not a pain type of person. I am not a big proponent of self-inflicting pain, or pain of any kind. Pain to me is your body telling you that there is something wrong. So I would suggest against going towards the pain aspect. Definitely, each their own, but I would suggest against that. If other modalities work for you, I would definitely suggest against the pain aspect. Page 24, the foundation of our mythology, what we think of as simple stories or psychological metaphors, are more likely the remnants of shamanic experiences told by those who could enter this non-ordinary reality. I like this concept, and I kind of want to ruminate on this a little bit further, because this is not something that I've heard before, is that our mythologies that we have could possibly have come from shamans. Now, biblical mythologies, I don't know if those necessarily came from a shamanic experience, or a vision of sorts to a person, as much as they are lessons that were taught, or parables that were taught, and people's lives being a little hyperbolically explained, or talked about throughout tradition, and generations by generations. I would like to ruminate on that further before taking that as a yes, this is true in my experience, or in my practice. But I like this idea. I'm intrigued by it, and I need to think on this further, and I would like to see what all of you think about this being true as well, if it could be true, or if you think this is just total bunk, and uh, call out Christopher Penzeca on something being, a little wrong. Um, and if he is wrong, I'm sure he would say, yeah, no, I didn't get that one quite right. I'm pretty sure that he would say that, and he wouldn't just double down and say, no, you're absolutely wrong. But I would like to get everybody's opinion on this that is watching. So if you could leave a comment down below, let me know what you think about this. Could uh, our mythologies be part of shamanic experiences? I think this is an intriguing thing to consider. The next one I have is on page 25. As you begin the path of journeying or any type of visualized meditation, common questions may come up. Is this real? Am I making this up? Is it all in my head? Am I experiencing what I want and not what I need? These are all valid questions. Absolutely. I can totally agree with him on this. I don't know if there's anybody out there who was like, okay, I've had this experience, during meditation, and this is just completely true. I think everybody, and I might be speaking out of turn here. Sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. Um, the dogs and the cats have a water bowl that is a little like fountain, and it had gotten so low that it was starting to make some noises. So I had to go fill that up. Anyway, excuse me. Um, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think everybody has had this type of experience, or has had these thoughts of doubt whenever, uh, especially whenever you're first starting your practice. It feels weird to do a circle casting because you kind of feel out of place. It feels a little silly. Yeah, I think that everybody has these questions of, is this real? Am I making things, all these things up? Is this all in my head? Um, you know, what's really going on here? Am I really getting, or am I really seeing what I need to see or what I want to see? That type of thing. Further down on page 25, continuing to 26, if you are questioning the validity of your experience and you encounter a being, for example, an animal, teacher, or deity, try to change the appearance they present to you. Use your willpower and imagination, change their size, clothing, or coloring. Usually you can't hold the new image for long. I've never thought of trying to challenge an experience, a deity, uh, or some, a spirit that came along. I never tried to really challenge it in this way, and I find this intriguing, and I wanted to, excuse me, I wanted to, offer this up as something that I found intriguing in this chapter. A couple other things all on 26 here. Detractors of modern shamanic practice will be the first to tell you the experience isn't real. Absolutely, you always have those people. Some think magic is only valid if it's ancient and secret. They think that true magic can't be found in a book or a workshop, but they are wrong. Absolutely, I had this conversation with my friend a couple years ago. My friend Kelly. Her and I were talking a couple years ago, and I said, "Well, what do you think of people that read things from a book?" She's like, "You know what? That is how some of us, you know, that it would be the only way that we got to learn any of this. Not everybody has teachers out there. Not everybody lives in a location where a teacher is present. Whenever the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, sometimes that appears in a book, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that your practice is invalid just because you, uh, you know, look it up in a book, or that you are taught from a book. Heck, I'm doing a book study here, and we're going through this book to learn things. And these are concepts that, if you were in a more traditional type of setting where you had a teacher, and I don't want to say traditional Wicca necessarily, but if you were in a more traditional type of setting where you had a teacher, then you might not get these types of ideas of, you know, what we were talking about a couple minutes ago, where the simple stories or mythologies that came forth were from shamanic experiences. You might not get that type of knowledge passed down to you, or might not get that type of idea presented to you, which might be something that actually rings true for you. So I think there is a lot of good that comes from having books or material that is printed in some way, shape, or form, whether it's on the internet or in physical form, that you can learn from these rather than from a traditional teacher. Um, you get a broader spectrum of ideas, you get a broader sense of the world, and I think that is important. Moving on, we are all spiritual beings and are free to have valid spiritual experiences. Um, Absolutely, totally agree. The and lastly, on page 26 is the only test of validity is, does it work? And again, I agree. If you can, it's the scientific process in essence of, can you replicate it? Can you do the same thing over and over and get the same results? Um, you know, and if you don't get the same results, then maybe it's not working the way you think it is. But if you constantly do the same type of ritual and you have the same experiences or the same results from the same spell working, then yes, maybe your stuff, maybe it's not totally working. Maybe it is all bunk in the end. I don't think it is, but even if it is, maybe it's just helping, or maybe it's one of those types of things where you knock on wood every time you say, oh, I'm very fortunate, knock on wood, that type of thing. That actually goes to an older tradition, which I find fascinating. But it's maybe it's one of those superstitious things that we do, like people that wear the same underwear on sports game days and all that. It's weird. It's something that people do, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't help. It just means that it works for us. Um, Moving on page 37. These are, oh geez, what's this under? I read this a couple days ago. Shamanism and psychic ability. Okay. Oh, these are ways to help with your uh, psychic abilities, I do believe. Yeah, ways of being more in tune. Um, and the one on 37 that I have underlined is silence. To balance your work with sound, try working with silence. So story time. Let's all crisscross applesauce. Okay, I can't fully crisscross applesauce. Um, but oh, there we go. Okay, I got both legs up here. Cool. Okay, so back in 2015, or maybe it was 2016 going into 2017. Either way, there was, from the day after Christmas up until like I think the first week of January, that I completely lost my voice. I had laryngitis. I couldn't speak over a small whisper. It hurt. I coughed a lot. I don't know really what brought it on, but there it was. So there was a lot of coughing, and I think I just strained my vocal cords. So anyway, and a lot of that was because I was in Korea and the water that I was using for the CPAP was not great. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Anyway, I learned at that point about being silent and sitting in that silence, not vocalizing, not making my voice heard, just sitting back and listening to what was happening around me, the things that were being said, the and just sitting in that silence, having that moment of silence. and being okay with it. Usually even still today, I have this tendency to always have something on in the background, to have um, whether it be music or a book on tape um, or a YouTube video, something in the background that I can listen to. And I work very well that way. However, there are times whenever you need to unplug, turn everything off, and just sit in that silence. And it's okay to do that. Um, the next thing is um, also on 37, disrupting routines. Break away from your normal habits and routines. This is a fun one that I found very intriguing. Now, usually whenever I put my hands together, I do this. So it is left hand over the left index over the right index. Okay, so one thing that you can do is to change that up and do it that way. It feels weird, it feels awkward, and it's something that's the disrupting routine that will help change the way you think and feel about things. Now, whenever you're done, do not go back and do it the regular way, because you're going to want to. Just sit with that uncomfortableness for a little while, and then break away and be like, okay, I'm not going to put my hands together to correct that feeling. Sit with that uncomfortableness a little bit. You have disrupted a routine, and that is something that is good to do every once in a while, and I would encourage you to try that. It's a simple little exercise that you can do while you're sitting there. Maybe do that in meditation. Do something different, or in a different way that you usually do, and sit with that uncomfortableness as you meditate, and see if that helps you a little bit more. Okay, so that's all that I have for chapter 2. We're gonna do chapter 3. You're gonna see it the same day. So yeah, it's gonna be up here in a little bit. Actually, I think I'm gonna do these about 12 hours apart. So if you're seeing this during the daytime, I usually upload these or have them ready to go or scheduled release for noon or midnight. Sorry. I usually have them scheduled for midnight, and then these second ones I'm having scheduled to come out at noon. So, and that's Eastern Standard Time. So, here in the U.S., Eastern Standard Time. So, New York time zone. Anyway, I'll see you for chapter 3 here. Same day, same bat day, same bat channel, whatever. Okay, that's all I have for you for this video. Until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye.